Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for Something Cool panel, where we interview industry professionals and hope to learn, inspire, and grow the creative community. Today, I'm super excited because we are interviewing Daniel Gallegos, which Danny has a pretty cool track record, actually. Super exciting. Danny has worked with the NBA, with Perry Ellis, with NBC Universal, with Discovery, and is currently a growth strategist at the Miami Heat. Thank you so much for joining us, Danny.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm excited today, Danny, because we're going to be talking about marketing.
Yes.
And not just marketing, but we're going to dive into specifically paid ads, which obviously, you know, it's a huge prominent thing in our society because of social media, and has become super easy to do because of social media. Like anybody and everybody could literally run ads at this very moment in time.
Yes, you can. Yep.
Which is pretty awesome.
It's great.
I did, before we get started and talk about marketing and all that good stuff, I did want to tell the audience that this is an open discussion. So at any time during our conversation here, you guys are more than welcome to raise your hands and ask questions, because that's the best way that we can learn together, really. You know, we obviously come up with our own questions, but it's always important to hear from you guys. So at any time, just raise your hand. One of our team members will give you a microphone, and you'll just talk into the mic and just literally ask anything that you want, okay? Don't wait till the end, really. There's a conversation between all of us.
As soon as this question comes to you, just be like, I want to ask, because that way we really do turn it into a discussion. Sometimes when you try to save a question for the end, you forget it. It's definitely happened to me before. So, you know, there's a nice little group here. Let's do it. Let's have a nice little group conversation.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it, actually. So, Danny, before we jump into marketing, I want to learn a little bit more about you personally, right? You're our industry professional today for marketing, but I want to know why. Why marketing? Like, when did your career in marketing begin, and why?
So marketing, I started doing marketing jobs around the 2012, 2013 time period. I was finishing up at school at Florida State, Go Seminoles. And I wanted to study advertising when I got there, because I felt like advertising was a cool angle on storytelling. The film school at FSU is super hard to get into. And while I do love film and that version of storytelling, and I always have and always will, like when I was 18, that wasn't going to happen like that. Not through that traditional like method. But I thought like advertising was another cool way to kind of get into the world of storytelling from a different angle. And so I studied advertising at FSU, and they had this weird like hybrid major that you could take, where it's half classes that are communication and media classes and advertising and stuff, and half like basically journalism classes that they were just calling not journalism anymore, because print was dying and journalism degrees didn't seem like they were going to make sense. So they were trying to kind of revitalize what a journalism degree would be. So you took a bunch of like digital media classes on, you know, how to build Wix sites and shit like that. And when I got out of school, I was like, I want to do this storytelling thing. I want to do marketing. But a lot of the jobs that I've had since then till now, like, didn't exist along the way. You know what I mean? Like, this is, like I said, 2013 type. That's a long time ago if you really think about it, when you think of just how far we've come with like tech and marketing and the apps that we all use every day. Like, this was right around the cusp of Instagram booming the way that it did. Snapchat had just emerged as well around that time period. And the way I kind of like to describe it is like, it was when I went and had a realization that we could do some storytelling on the small screen, because more and more people were like not as focused on the big screen, and more they were just looking at their small screen. So I felt like there was a lane to kind of get in and do marketing for the content platforms that we had for the small screen. And I did. You know, a lot of my early jobs were like marketing coordinator or things like that, and where there wasn't defined job descriptions where they're like, you're going to do the social media. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to post and you're going to help us do storytelling and create content. That shit didn't exist back then, I'm going to be honest. And so as I started doing those jobs and like doing that, the world kind of caught up and those jobs starting to exist. And then I kind of got into those lanes, and now, we're over 10 years deep doing different things within the world of marketing. But I always have looked at it from that same space, as like how I can try to contribute to the storytelling that's happening around a brand.
Super cool. Yeah, because you kind of saw a little bit of ahead of what was going to happen with social media, right? Because before marketing was like either you print something on a magazine, on a newspaper, in a commercial, on TV, but not necessarily was it going to, like, you knew it was going to be so prominent on social media. So it was a cool
I
route.
saw the attention shifting. And like, I think being in college at that time and like getting right out of college at that time was a good way to see it happen in real time. Like, you literally saw people start to be on their phone all the time. And some people who watch this later or are in the room right now might be too young to remember a time before we were that glued to that device. But there was, because it didn't used to have as much stuff on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we didn't have as many of the apps we have now that we're so used to going in and spending time on back then. So I saw the shift literally happen of the eyeballs going from like,
from here to here.
And around that time, I remember I had a professor that's like, marketing, advertising, it's all about attention. It's just, that's all it is. It's about like meeting people where they're at and getting their attention. Mm-hmm. And finding out where that attention is going next will help you find job security in the world of marketing. And I'm like, I know where the attention's going.
That's amazing. Who has been the most notable company to work with?
I'll go with the Heat on that, but that's because we're in Miami, and obviously I love the Heat. It's like my hometown team. Is where I work now. I think it's definitely a world-known brand, but I think NBC Universal would have something to say about that in terms of who's the biggest company I've worked with. I had a chance when I was on the agency side to work with NBC Universal on a lot of their TV products. And that was, probably the biggest like company I've had a chance to like actually do stuff for.
That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Those are two big entities to, work with.
Yeah. So. And I didn't get a chance to work on any big brands for like 7 years. It wasn't until way later in my career that I got a chance to actually work on big brands that had budgets that actually could sustain a lot of the ideas I had.
Super cool. That's so interesting. What would you say was one of the coolest campaigns or the ones that have made the biggest impact?
I like this question because I have two distinct stories to tell about this. And I'll try to get through them quick, right? The first is like the campaign that most directly influenced my career trajectory was very, very early on. It was this brand. I was at a very small agency, and paid social, so running ads on Facebook and Instagram, was very, very new at the time. The ad product wasn't what it is today, but like companies were first starting to really test it and like spend money there. And we had this client that had done a lot of their marketing work and their product development work on their own and was so close to the finish line, but had pretty much exhausted all the different marketing levers that they knew about. And this company was called Pack-A-Yak. It's Pack-A-Yak because it's a packable kayak, okay? And Pack-A-Yak, it's this small team. They're trying to get off the ground through this website called Kickstarter. So some of you might have heard of Kickstarter. I don't know if it's still around, but it's kind of like GoFundMe in the sense that it's crowdsourced. When you have a project on Kickstarter, you're literally, people are donating so that this project can become a reality. And you set a goal that you have to reach for this project to become real. But here's the catch. If you don't hit the goal by the date that you set, all that money goes back to all those people. You don't keep that money that you had raised so far.
Yeah.
So they came to us with a week left to hit their goal. And I think if I remember correctly, they were still like 100,000 short.
Oh my
something
God.
like that. But they had already raised like over 300,000. So they felt
They
like
were freaking out.
They were like, we're so close. You know what I mean? And we don't know what else to do. We've talked to magazines and we've done this and we put up a billboard. And I'm like, cool. All that stuff did work because you're here. But like, did you guys run like social ads? And they're like, ads on like, I'm like, ads like on Instagram and Facebook? And they're like, no. I'm like, do we have a budget that we could kind of put towards that? Because I think we could create a little audience for you and run this ad. And they were like, are you sure that, like, because if they were strapped on marketing dollars, they didn't have much left. And they're like, are you sure we should put it towards this? I'm like, we have 7 days left, man. Like, I don't know what else you're going to do if you don't do this. And they had this really good video that lived on their Kickstarter page.
That's the Hail Mary.
Yeah, it was. It was literally a Hail Mary. That's the way they were looking at it. But for me, it was a layup because I'm like, this video's sick. And you've never like pushed it to people on social that like kayaks. Okay. So I sat down and I made an audience within Meta, which you guys are going to see how to do today. And I just targeted, first I did a little research, like what are the top 10 cities in this country for kayaking, right? So then we targeted those cities. And then we targeted people who like kayaking, right? Because that's a targeting parameter you can select it within Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
People who maybe follow kayaking or boating or outdoor activity magazines and those kind of things. And we just ran that video, which was just like a, hey, this is what we do video, to that audience 3 days.
The Kickstarter video, let's say.
Yes. In 3 days, they hit the 100 grand.
Dude.
They didn't need 7. In 3 days, they hit that 100 grand.
That's amazing.
And that was what kind of reaffirmed to me, like, 1, I know how to do this. 2, these things are powerful enough to make actual business impact for these different clients if they're set up properly. And if I continue to like get better at this, I think I can help a lot of brands. And that happened in 2015. So we're 10 years out now from that. And if I hadn't had that kind of little like cool moment where something where I was like, I didn't know what I was doing that much at that point. I didn't have a bunch of experience. I just knew how to set these things up. Right. And I knew who it made sense to serve it to. And thank God it worked, because if it hadn't, I would have probably been bummed. And I don't know if I would have stayed in the lane that I stayed in. And instead, it was like this reaffirmation that like, oh, yeah, you're good at this shit.
What you were doing was...
Keep doing this, right?
That's amazing. That's a great story, bro.
Yeah, I won't tell the other one because it's not as cool.
Maybe we'll tell it at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's actually really cool. And, you know, I'm sure they were like, who the fuck is this young guy?
Yeah, hey, they were like, are you sure we want to hand this kid like
social
$3,000? Like,
I had a really quick question.
Go for it.
Hi, thank you for sharing the story.
Of
That's
course.
really cool. I was curious, do you still happen to have the creative from that ad by any chance to share as an example?
The creative from that ad, I can probably track it down. I
don't know if other attendees are interested,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
and
I
also
could
to
probably
compare
track it down.
2015, 2025, like
You'll see the
how it
difference.
was.
That would be super cool
I
to
think
see.
I could probably find it. I'm sure
It's probably super pixelated. You can't even see
if
it.
Pack still exists, then I'm sure they probably have the original video like on their YouTube or something like that where we can see it.
Right.
Because I'm sure they're proud of like where they started, and I bet they would have saved something like that. If it doesn't exist already out in the public, I'll literally like write them an email and see if they'll send me the video, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
You literally saved that brand.
The ad saved that brand. All I did was set it up for them.
Hey, but you had a good idea and it worked.
Yeah.
Because if they wouldn't have raised the 300,000 or the extra 100,000, who knows what would have happened?
There would be no kayak.
Exactly.
There would be no packable kayaks.
That's nuts. You should have gotten royalties from that.
I wish I had. I didn't even get a kayak. I got a shirt. Nice.
They sent you
Send me a
packy.
kayak.
So, just so you know, one pack yak is about $2,000.
Dude.
So
Yo,
you should be getting
Would've gotten
royalties
even
We're
on
like a
the,
1%
going to send them this
royalty.
video. Packy we're coming
Send
for
it
you.
to you. Holla at me, man.
That's awesome, man.
Break me off
That's a
something.
great one. Oh, man. Have you always been this drawn to the creative side of business?
Yeah, I would say I've always been drawn to like the storytelling aspect of business. I think that that's how brands are built properly. I think that that's how people connect to brands is through proper storytelling and being creative and doing creative and innovative things. No matter what industry the brand is in, I think that if we think about our favorite brands, those are the ones that we most have an affinity to. And so for me, because I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to like make movies at the beginning or shows or anything like that, I was like, well, we can still do storytelling through getting people to this product or this service or this place and just making it really like desirable through these videos or posts that we were going to create. So yeah, I love the creative side of it. Every time I take a new job, I always try to like sneak into the job description that I'll have some level of influence over the creative or the process that goes into the creative, because I feel like I have ideas that'll work because I already know, I have so much data in my head of what has worked from all the other creatives I've been able to touch.
That's amazing. You should sneak into the resume. I saved Pakiak.
It's on there. That's remained on my resume this whole time.
It's very interesting that you say storytelling, because in the very near future, we're actually going to have a really cool panel on storytelling, and our friend over here is going to help us with
Awesome.
that.
I'll be here for that.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is a really cool question. We're talking about marketing.
Giving himself props for his question. This
Yes.
is a really cool question.
This is
Go
a
ahead.
really cool ChatGPT question that I printed on here. No, I'm kidding. What separates good marketers from great ones?
It is a good question. I like it. I would say,
Oh, and before you answer that,
Go ahead.
You've been talking a lot about brands.
yes,
Right? And it's important to understand that that doesn't necessarily always mean a huge corporation and a big business.
absolutely.
Each and every one of us are brands. on our
Especially
own.
creators.
Yeah.
Each creator is their own brand.
Exactly.
And so, or whatever you're working on is a brand. Whether you want to like treat it as one or not is up to you. But any project that you work on is a brand. You know,
Right.
anything you do as a creator, you're a brand.
Right.
Brands aren't only like these things that we wear and have affinity to. They're also who we are. Honestly, everybody has a personal brand.
Right.
So yes. Good
Before you say that
marketers-
again,
Go ahead.
sorry. Influencers are a good representation of that.
Absolutely.
They
And-
know how to harness their own power of themselves and
Absolutely.
turn those things into brands.
Yes, and I think even now, like we barely use that word as much, influencer.
Facts.
Right? We say creator a lot more within the business world when we're talking about reaching out to these people, and it's because they are influential, sure, but they do so much more than just help us get influenced by posting something. Right? They create, and so creator is like I think a term that more better encapsulates not only what they're doing for you, but the influence that comes with it.
Right.
So yes, and if you're a creator, regardless of how many followers you might have, you're an influencer as well, because you're creating things that could have impact given the right audience, and therefore could have influence on those audiences.
Right.
So that's why I think those two words are interchangeable these days, influencer, creator.
I agree. I like the fact that you said we're switching from influencer to
Yeah.
creator.
Yeah.
You're totally right. Okay, let me get back to the question.
Go for it.
What makes or what separates a good marketer from a great one?
I think that people who go to school for marketing can be good marketers, okay? And I think that people who practice marketing in the real world, regardless of if they've gone to school or not, have the potential to be great marketers. I think that the main difference between somebody who's good at marketing and great at marketing is an understanding of what marketing really is supposed to be. Marketing isn't supposed to be a sales tactic or something that's meant to sell you anything. Marketing is about building brands. And all of the best brands in the world have done that properly in terms of when they market something to you, you don't feel like they're selling you anything. They're just showing you who they are. And they're so cool that you want to be a part of that. And that's good marketing. When somebody's a good marketer, they could put together a campaign that'll maybe drive some revenue or raise awareness of their brand. And that kind of comes and goes. But when somebody's a great marketer, they can build a brand into something that people gravitate towards. And
Right.
if a brand does great marketing, you'll notice that people gravitate towards that brand versus a brand that does good marketing or so-so marketing. You'll feel it when you're being messaged to by that brand, because you will still feel that layer of promotion, that layer of sales that's coming behind it. Mm-hmm. And they teach marketing and a lot of the stuff that goes behind it in like the College of Business at schools. And so it's kind of taught under the lens of being a sales tactic. But man, marketing is not about sales. Sales will come if you do marketing properly and build a brand.
That's amazing. Can you tell me the difference between advertising and marketing? Because you said it at the beginning that you wanted to study advertising
Yeah.
and then you switched over to marketing.
Yeah, I mean, so
For me, that's always been the same thing.
it's a part of it. So basically, marketing encapsulates advertising as well as a lot of other things that get your message out, right? Advertising refers specifically to ads. Like, so the idea of paying to get your message out across whatever channel it is,
Copy.
YouTube, on TV, or billboard. All those things are considered forms of advertising, and then advertising itself is a part of the bigger marketing mix, right?
Got it.
We
Got
do
it.
things within marketing that aren't advertising, but all advertising is part of marketing.
So marketing would be like the main umbrella.
Yes.
And then advertising falls in one of those spectrums
Absolutely.
of marketing,
Absolutely.
which we're going to cover today.
Right.
When we're doing the paid ads,
Right.
we're going to be doing some advertising.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Wow. Value. That's crazy. Okay. Let's go into marketing. Sorry, Manny. So let's get into the marketing side for creators, right? Marketing for creators. Let's start with the basics. Can you give us a rundown or specific platforms on how to use them when it comes to marketing for creators? So this is marketing for creators.
Right.
Like
Okay.
what are specific platforms you think creators should be using to market themselves?
I think basically all of the social apps minus Twitter. I don't think Twitter is a place where you really need to be producing a lot of content if you're a creator. So I would leave that one out. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means that's not the one I would focus on. Like if you got to filter one out, I would probably filter Twitter out. I think that being on Meta, so being on Facebook and Instagram, particularly Instagram, being on TikTok, being on YouTube, those are all the platforms where you're probably going to excel at reaching a lot of people with whatever it is that you're trying to market. So if you're a creator and you're putting out content, regardless of what industry you're creating content for, a lot of the people that are audiences of that thing are going to be across those different social platforms. So social, especially posting on social, it's free. You know what I mean? Before you ever run any ad, posting itself, like just posting on TikTok, just posting on YouTube, it's free. And you're literally learning every time you post as a creator because you're able to see the data and the insights that come back from posting. So you could literally see like, oh, a lot of people watch that post. Oh, not that many people watch that one. And you're able to learn from that before you've ever spent $1 on anything marketing related, just by creating, which is what you do if you're a creator, and putting it out across these main social channels. It's just, social is just like literally the go-to place for a creator because it allows you to kind of put that content in front of so many different audiences with one click.
That's amazing. Zay, you had a question?
Oh, I was curious that you say like all the platforms. So like me particularly, I hate TikTok. But
Me too.
I like Instagram.
You can't say that. It's true.
Do you think it's worth posting on all these platforms, even if you, like, I don't like TikTok, but I'm not passionate about that. Do you think it's worth posting on everything, or you risk spreading yourself too thin and like
That's a good question
out?
because the next question that I was going to ask you was, can you explain each platform
Yeah.
and what they're best for?
Sure. So Zay, I would say it's not spreading yourself too thin if you're just kind of repurposing that content to let it live over on TikTok. So if you're already going to shoot for short form video in vertical format for Reels, then that can live on TikTok without you having to do a bunch of more work to go post it on TikTok. And I don't use TikTok. It's not on my phone, right? But your audience and the people you're trying to reach, they probably are on there. You know what I mean? So as much as you don't like it, you might not be a user of it, you still have to use its leverage, which is having a huge amount of users, to your advantage. And I would advise you to do so by kind of repurposing whatever content you already have and putting it over there, because sometimes you won't realize it, but you'll blow up on one platform more than you would have on the platform you thought was going to be the one. You know, especially for like musicians, being on TikTok, a lot of the times people will start using their sound, or people will kind of just repost a viral little, video of them doing a cover or something like that. And it doesn't do the same numbers on Reels, right? But then I've also seen the reverse. There's people with big TikTok followings that expect to also, gain those numbers on Reels, and then the Reels don't do as well. But by being in both places, you give yourself more chances. Like, I hate baseball, but it's a good analogy. At bats, right? How many at bats are you giving yourself? If you literally do not post on one platform, you're eliminating opportunities for yourself. You're eliminating at bats. Cool.
Thank you. I had a question tied to organic versus paid when it comes to socials. So every time, like, if it's not a massive brand, like we're not talking Miami Heat, we're talking
Right.
about the smaller pages, like under 100K, under 10K, right? When you start investing in paid, right, like your organic reach becomes dead. From every page I've experimented with, like different niches, different everything. Should you, as a small creator with a small page, like jump into ads when you know that's gonna like just decimate your like organic reach from that point on?
Two things there. So one, your organic reach is dead regardless. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like the percentage of people that you're reaching from based on how many people follow you is very low. It's very, very low. The algorithm is designed that way, and it has been for many years. It's not specifically designed to further cut that reach just because you started spending money. It just feels that way once you start spending money because you see the numbers increase when you do spend the money, and then so the other numbers from organic feel smaller. But they don't actually shrink. There's nothing built into it that actually makes that reach of organic shrink. The thing is that reach of organic continuously is shrinking as the days go by. They have designed this to make sure that you get less and less organic reach the more time that passes by that you even exist. Regardless of how much you're posting or how little you're posting, every day you're reaching less and less people. And the only thing that really changes that is when people share your content or engage with it at a high clip immediately. If you've ever posted a story, even on your personal page, and within that first 5-10 minutes, several people like it, now all of a sudden, when you go look at the views of that story compared to the views of another story, you're going to be like, oh, wow, a lot of people watch that story. It's only because the algorithm was triggered within that short period of time at the beginning to say this is a great story. Let's show it to a bigger percentage of his audience or her audience, right? Those little things in those moments are really the only thing that can kind of like help you with organic reach. And they're like on a post-by-post basis or on a story-by-story basis. There's nothing you can do at scale to ensure that you're going to continuously broaden your reach and reach more percentage of your current followers. They are literally making sure to throttle that reach to your current followers because they want you to get into ads. They want you to understand that you need to pay to get to a bigger audience. That's just how they've designed it.
And would you advise even for small creators to set like a budget aside every month, even if you're indie, right? Like you have no funding, no backing. Should you be investing in small ads every month or like every, I don't know how often?
I would set some money aside for it and think of it as your marketing budget, right? Think of it as your marketing budget for what you do, and you can test. And even if you don't get a lot of results from it from like a leads or a business standpoint, you're getting data back. And I would say, let's say you post once a day for a month because that's just the kind of creator you are. You're posting every day. Before you ever run the ad, you can be smart about knowing if that ad's going to work or not because you can look at the data on all those posts you've been doing this month and be like, that video, that was the one. That was the one everybody engaged with, left comments on. I got a bunch of shares on that video. People clearly F with this video, right? So that's going to be the video that you decide to go ahead and put that first budget behind because you already know people like it. And if you can get more people to see it, more people are going to like it and come back to you. So no matter how small of a creator you are, if you have something going on that you're trying to get off the ground, then chances are you're putting a little money aside to help make it happen. Make a little bit of that little bit for ads and have it, whether it's every month or every 3 months, use it to get more eyeballs on the thing that you already know worked from what you saw organically.
Right. For me, it would be a picture of my cat.
Right.
Or a video of my cat.
People love pictures of cats.
Go ahead, Zay.
Sorry, but would you say things that you run ads on, should they be created with the thought in mind that you wanted to run an ad on this? Or would you run ads on, say, something that performs well, but you didn't even have the mindset of, oh, I'm going to run an ad on this?
As a creator, it's the latter more so than the former. As a brand, you're kind of doing both, right? So as a brand, if you're building a brand and it's a thing, it's like a separate entity than you as a creator, then you're going to do both. You're going to do some stuff that the creative is designed to message, the thing you're trying to promote and feel a little bit more like an ad, but then you're also going to want other pieces of content that you're running as ads that don't feel like ads at all, because those more often get attention from people because they don't feel like an ad, and they'll keep people like kind of watching for longer, and then maybe even take that action to click and go learn more about it. If you're a creator, I would say it's just the latter, right? It's just, what did I do awesome organically? Now I'm going to put money behind it, regardless if you ever thought it was going to be an ad or not, because you already know that people engaged with it. You already know that it, quote unquote, works. So if it works without you ever putting a cent behind it, you don't need to edit it and then add a call to action at the end, an end tag. You don't need to do any of that. You already know it works as is. So you could just go ahead and put money behind it, and it's more than likely going to bring people back to your page or to your business or to whatever it is you're doing.
I have a reverse Uno card to the question we asked earlier. So I had a video that went like pretty viral, and then I decided to run ads on it and spend money on it because I was like, oh, it should go even more viral if I put money behind it. It did not. Why does that happen?
Did you boost it, or did you like set a target audience and all that stuff?
I boosted it.
Okay, so
Is that why?
sometimes when you boost things, so and again, well, I'm pretty sure this is on one of the questions later, but there's a difference between kind of setting up an ad campaign and just boosting something. Sometimes when we boost things, it's going to get more reach, but not always more engagement, because while the content might be good, boosting it, especially when you kind of just boost natively from Instagram, it's just going to kind of tap into more of that percentage we were talking about of people who already have engaged with your stuff or who already follow you, versus when you create an ad within Ads Manager, you can set the audience and have a lot more control over who that ad is going to get served to. So you kind of can put a little bit more science and logic behind that to say, this is going to reach new people that have never seen me or my stuff before, but this thing is so good that I did that I know that they'll like this too. Because sometimes the thing that worked within your own little community, like you just need to show it to more people that are already maybe a part of that community but don't know you, or maybe not part of that community but are interested in that same thing. Versus when you boost, you might just be kind of turning up the volume on people who already have heard of you or seen you before. When you run it as an ad, you have a lot more control over who ends up seeing that ad. And so more often than not, you're going to get that reach and you're going to get more of that impact back from an engagement perspective.
I also, sorry, I have a quick follow-up question on targeting. I think it's an important one because a lot of people boost, right? But the most effective ones are the ones you build. When it comes to targeting, should we, as indie creators, at least I'm speaking from that perspective, or small business owners, should we focus more on like hyper-specific targeting or like general, you know, the way like SEO, like very specific keywords are broad, or like A/B test, or what would you recommend for smaller brands?
It's smarter to go broader nowadays. You know, before, a lot of the like targeting capabilities that we had pre Cambridge Analytica scandal and things like that, they allowed us to go so hyper targeted that used to be kind of the best practice. Is, you know exactly who you want, well, we can make sure we get it to exactly that person. They love cat, hate dogs, eat at Burger King on Wednesdays. Like, we used to have all of that data back before 2018, 2019. So being specific and super narrowly targeted was like the selling point of doing paid social and paid search too, honestly. But now we have come so far with the machine learning that goes behind these algorithms that leaving it a little more broad allows it to do its thing and find the right people for you. So let's say you want to reach something that is involved with alcohol. You should definitely still go ahead and tweak the age to be minimum 21, right? But you don't need to also put people who love Bud Light and Twisted Tea. Like, you don't need to go that far. You can set minimal parameters based on who you're trying to reach, and like just a couple, maybe one interest, and then let it cook, because it'll find the other people that are like the ones you want. And sometimes it knows more than you do about who will really like click or interact with your ad. We've gotten to a really good point where if you let the machine learning do its thing, you still have to have some level of control over audiences based on who you want to reach and who your product can reach, right? And who you want it for. But letting the machine learning do its thing, it's become a lot more of the best practice.
What he said. No, I think all the questions that everybody's asking is right on point, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but Danny actually used to be our head of marketing here at HCAP Studios
Right.
couple of years ago. And one thing that I learned from Danny was only about 2 to 3% of your organic audience on social media is actually looking
Seeing your stuff.
or seeing your stuff. In this world of social media, you got to pay to play. And from there on, it's been a little bit of a game changer. I want to say, and I think you'll back me up on this, is like, it's important to run ads and all that good stuff, but it's also important to understand why you're running that ad. Like, what do you want it to do? What is the end result? You can go ahead and want to get more followers, or you can go ahead and try to get some business from it. So, for example, Zay, he's an amazing creator, and obviously his goal should be, hey, I want to get more clients from running these ads. So it's important. What do you think should be in place before he even goes to run an ad?
What should be in place before you start running ads? So from like technical and setup standpoint, there's a few things you're going to want to make sure are already set up. If you've got an Instagram profile and it's like a creator profile, that's good. You're off to a good start. But to kind of set campaigns up in the best practice way, you're going to want to set up something called a Meta Business Portfolio. And that you got to do on the computer. You can't do that on the app on the phone. So you got to go to business.facebook.com. And from there, you'll find steps to create what we call a Meta Business Portfolio. And think of a Meta Business Portfolio as like the overall umbrella for everything you're going to do for yourself as a creator or the brand you're working on within Meta. Okay. Once you create this Meta Business Portfolio, you'll automatically obviously be an admin of it. You'll have full control over that portfolio. And what you'll do is, if you already have a Facebook business page or Instagram account, you can claim it under that portfolio. So you can connect it to that portfolio so that it knows this page and this page, the same guy, same stuff, right? And they are owned by this portfolio so that when it's time to run ads, it knows, oh, we're going to run ads for those 2 pages because those 2 pages are part of this business portfolio. Everything's under the same umbrella. So setting up a business portfolio and then connecting your pages or Instagram profiles to that portfolio is like step number 1 from a technical ads like aspect before you're ever doing any ads. Once you've done that, the next thing you'll need to do is create an ad account. All of you have an ad account if you have a Facebook profile by default, but that's not the ad account you would want to use for this. You want to create a new ad account under that business portfolio so that you can use that ad account to run ads for that page and that Instagram profile that you have under that business portfolio. See, there's a pattern here. You want everything under that portfolio because that way everything knows that it's connected to each other and that you're doing it for that, right? And if you have a website, I would recommend installing the Meta Pixel on that website, or the TikTok Pixel if you're doing TikTok ads on that website. The Pixel is a little bit complicated. We won't get too into it today, but there's also like really easy to follow steps to how to install these pixels. Meta has integrations with most of the sites that anybody here in this room or watching this later would be building a site on. Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, all of those type of website builders and platforms. Meta has integrations with them to make the Pixel installation process super easy. And the Pixel, essentially what that does is it allows you to track the activity happening on your site based on anything that came from Meta. So it knows, oh, they came from Meta and then clicked here, or they came from Meta and then bought this. So having the Pixel is really important if you're somebody, creator or brand, that's driving traffic to a site, because it lets you know, oh, how much traffic is actually coming from Meta.
Right, if it's working or not.
Exactly. It's one of the ways you measure if things are working or not. So Meta Business Portfolio, connecting everything to the business portfolio, setting up the ad account under the portfolio, and setting up a pixel if you are going to be driving traffic to a site. Those are like your main steps to take before you started running ads. And then the other thing would be a strong organic presence. You know, do you need to have like 500 posts on your page? No. But should you have at least enough that fills up a grid and would allow me within a minute or 2 to learn who you really are and what you really do if I visit your Instagram profile? Because a lot of you, especially your creators, if you're not driving to a site, more often than not, your ad clicks back to your profile, right? And if I just have like 3 posts on my profile and one of them is the ad you saw that got you here in the first place, the credibility factor is not really there. The trust factor is not. It's
This
not
is
giving,
weird.
it's giving bot, right? Yeah. So you're like, You don't want to do that. You don't want to give off the energy that you're a bot. So you should, before you start running ads, you should also work on making sure your organic presence is in there. And notice, I didn't say anything about how many followers you have. That doesn't matter. It's about what actually lives on the page. What content is there and providing value to this target audience that you're about to start running ads for already, so that whoever comes back and clicks back to that, they're like, okay, cool. That is what he does know what he's talking about. He's got this other video that covers that topic, or this other post, blah, 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 blah.
I'm going to call him.
Right.
I'm going to email him. Cool. That's awesome. Muddy, did you have a question?
No, I'm just
You're just holding the mic.
the host
Great.
of the microphone.
And when we talk about Meta, we're obviously just talking about Facebook and Instagram, correct?
Correct.
Because we can run ads on YouTube, which is Google.
Yes.
We could run Google ads.
Google search ads, yes.
Google search ads. So there's many different avenues to be able to spend a little bit of money to run these ads.
YouTube is owned by Google, but obviously like video ads can happen on YouTube as well as YouTube Shorts, which is like their vertical video format. You can run ads on TikTok. You can run ads on Snapchat if you're a Snapchat person. You can run ads on, like I said, Facebook and Instagram. You can run search campaigns over on Google. You can even run ads on like connected TV these days, which is basically like a lot of us watch Prime or Hulu, and you might have like Netflix with no ads, but I bet you at least one of your other streaming services you're not paying for the no ads tier,
right?
So you're getting ads on that one. Connected TV is what we call the ads that you see on those kind of platforms. You can run ads even there.
That's amazing.
So a lot of places to run ads, and they work a little differently.
What would you say if you had a small marketing budget as a creator? Where should you be putting your first ad spend dollars?
Instagram Reels and TikTok.
Boom.
Easily. Instagram Reels and TikTok is where you're going to get your best bang for your buck if you're a creator. And it's also going to be the place that makes the most sense based on the type of content you're probably creating anyway to reach the people you want to reach.
Amazing. Gia, and then we'll take Zay.
I had a question about channels. So you mentioned like the multitude of platforms that you can use to run ads. What's your opinion on like Spotify ads or like music service ads specifically for people who release music? Would it be more recommended to invest in ads directly, like natively on Spotify, or to leverage like Meta ads to drive traffic to Spotify? In your experience, has one been more effective than the other, with no label, no anything, so indie, small?
Both. The answer is both. The answer is definitely both. And I know sometimes splitting dollars in between both can be tricky.
Like 50-50?
You can try 50-50 at first and then kind of go with whatever's working better. Or you can try one and then the other and then compare data that way if you don't have budget to fuel both. At the same time, like simultaneously, you could do one and then the other. Spotify ads work for sure for musicians. I do work with a musician, and shout out Viper. And we've done both for her, right? Sometimes the social ads will be pretty good at driving some clicks back to, her actual page, and we'll see some streams, a little bit of spike of streams that way. But we've also seen very similar results for when we run native Spotify ads on the platform, because in that format, people are kind of more used to getting music-related ads, right? Versus on social, you get ads for all sorts of stuff. So you kind of need that. The content has to break through a little bit more on social if you're a musician, because while a lot of us now, thanks to TikTok, have been trained to have sound on by default versus we didn't used to do that. Sound on by default is great because now I'm actually listening to the song when I get the ad and I know if I care or not, right? Versus Spotify is like an basically audio first or audio only ad platform. So you're catching people in the listening mindset more so than you would on social. But on social, you have that extra real estate of the screen to add a visual element to it that might pull the people in. So the real answer is both. And honestly, I'll preface this. When people ask me or questions, like, should I do this or this? A lot of the time, I'm going to be like, both. Yes.
Zay?
I had a question, like, for Instagram per se. I used to have a YouTube channel before, and I grew that organically pretty well. I used to get like a couple thousand views per video. Had like over like 1.5 million channel views.
Nice.
So and the strategy for that I've learned was like consistency and being like very repetitive. Like I would post Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11:15 every single day. and that's what I'm kind of using for Instagram. But I heard for like TikTok, for example, you want to output is more important. Yes. So that brings me to my question. On Instagram, like I created content for my page like for the whole month, and I have it all scheduled. So if I wanted to then post that stuff on TikTok, would it be harmful if I post it daily and I'm posting content that my Instagram hasn't seen yet, even though Instagram is what I think is most important? Or do you think it doesn't matter?
So I was on a call with TikTok today, and we asked about that because at the Heat, we've kind of slowed down a little bit in terms of how often we're organically posting on TikTok. So we asked the rep today, what is the optimal frequency of posting on TikTok to kind of make sure that you're showing up on the For You page and getting the reach that you want? And they recommended 2 to 5 times a day. Between 2 to 5 posts per day on TikTok is the optimal amount. And now they also did say this, and I would have said this if they didn't. That doesn't mean just post just to post, right? You still want to make sure there's some value to each piece of content you're putting out. So like, let's say you've got 30 already planned out. You could do that. You could run through that 30 on TikTok in like 15 or 18 days. And it's still providing the same value as you would have if you spread it over 30. But that doesn't mean fill in the other 12 days with BS. It means create more so that you can provide even more value. Once a day is known as their minimum. So we basically were like, what if we just keep doing once a day? Is that like bad? And they were like, no, once a day is great. Consistency is the most important thing to that algorithm, though. They were very open and willing to share that with us when we got on the phone with them today. That level of consistency that you referred to at the beginning of your question is key on that platform more so than any of the others. TikTok literally ends up putting you on the For You page because of your consistency in posting. You will get on to that page regardless of how many followers you have or how many views those videos get. You will get on to a relevant For You page for your audience if they see you are consistent.
Drop the mic. Let me ask you a question. How much should a creator realistically budget to start testing paid ads?
This one's tricky, right? Because a lot of different people are in different spaces when it comes to their finances and how much they might have to budget for a marketing campaign. But what I can tell you is like how little money is usually not worth it just because of how many people, how many brands and other creators you're actually competing with in the auction for that screen real estate, right? Because at the end of the day, like we all have one feed, right? And one like stories feed too. So like you have to think about it that way is I may not have a huge budget, but the money I am putting towards this is literally competing with 300 other brands for that same moment between stories or that same moment between feed posts. And it is an auction. It's a machine-based auction system that gets you that spot. And if you're not spending enough, you're not going to get seen very much. It's essentially the more you spend, the more eyeballs you get, right? That's the business model that these things work on. So a lot of times if you're starting out, it'd be amazing. And this might be a little much to some of you, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be that for like the whole month. But it'd be amazing if you could spend between $25 and $50 per day, okay? And you don't want to run a campaign for less than, I would say, 10 to 14 days because you're not going to learn enough from a 3-day campaign. Right? So you guys can do the math on that. Math's never been my strong suit, but don't tell my job. The amount you would need based on that depends on how long you want the ad to run for. But what I would tell you is like if you only have $150, that doesn't mean run $150 over the course of 3 days at $50 a day and then call it a day. That means wait until you have more to be able to spend on the campaign so that you can actually have that campaign run. Maybe it's 25 a day, but at least it can run for like 7, 10, 14 days. Because if you don't let it run for that long, you more often than not won't leave the what we call the learning phase. And the learning phase is how long it takes Meta or TikTok or whoever to learn who it's best to serve your ad to and who is actually going to convert on your ad. And if it doesn't get enough time to convert, then it doesn't know who else to show it to. And so when you get stuck in the learning phase because there's not enough money to get you out of it, then all of a sudden the results for your ad campaign aren't as meaningful. You're not getting as much data or insights back because you're just not reaching enough people to get that data or insights back. You're not reaching enough people or spending enough for the machine to do its thing. You need to give it time and money for it to do its thing. And if you're like, damn, but I'm not about to spend $300 and potentially get nothing back, you never get nothing back because you always get data back. Even if it's data that shows you that this wasn't the best audience to target, or maybe this creative wasn't as strong as you thought, it's still data that is helping inform your next decision. And so you're never getting nothing back. The money you spend on these campaigns is getting you information that you are supposed to learn from to then reinvest into the campaign so that they do more for you.
Right. So, if at first you don't succeed,
Spend more.
spend more.
But be smart about how you're spending, right?
So you're saying, let's say I have $300 for that month,
Sure.
which is a lot of money,
Yeah.
for a creator.
Yeah. It's a lot of money. Like, I'll
It's a
take
lot of money,
$300
like-
right now.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You're saying rather than spreading out that $300 in a 30-day campaign,
Never.
do a stint and
Yes.
just cram it all into 14 days?
Yeah, or 10. If it's like $300, that could be like 30 a day for 10 days, right? And you know what 10 days you probably want that to be, right? Or if you're really if it's like you have an event happening, like let's say we were running an ad for something cool, right? We know we live in Miami.
We
so
probably should have done that.
we know that we live in Miami, so we know there's two main times that people are gonna buy their ticket to something. It's when you first announce it, and then the day before.
Right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't run the ad for this for a month straight leading up to the event. I would have ran it for a few days or maybe a week right when we announced it, and then again for that 5 days before, maybe even that 3 days before, because now I know that that's when people are most likely to take action to buy a ticket to that thing, because we're all last minute people in this particular city and day and age that we live in. We're very, very last minute. And that applies to everything, because we sell tickets for concerts at the arena. I run those ads too. And I run ads for the tickets to the games. And it's the same way, man. Nobody's buying tickets to the Celtics game in February in October. Right. They buy that shit the day before. Yeah. And leading up to it, people are like, hey, how much you spending on those ads? The Celtics game's not sold out yet. And I'm like,
just give it a second.
That's because we're not close enough yet. As soon as you get close enough, these people show up.
You're absolutely right, because we have that running joke here where whenever we host, for example, our open studio sessions, Mario always says, just wait till 2 days before the event. That's when the tickets start rolling in, because people are not gonna buy a ticket for an event that's a month out unless it's a crazy musical artist or freaking Taylor Swift is coming.
Correct.
But if it's an open studio session, they're not gonna buy a ticket a month out.
They know they can get it the day before.
They're gonna get it the day before, or even day of at the freaking door.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And that's just how we're wired, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just how people are wired. I think it's a particularly strong sentiment in Miami, but I think no matter where you go, people are very last minute in general. And we love the idea of planning ahead. We all love the idea of planning ahead, but very few of us actually live life consistently planning that far ahead.
Right. You have a question?
I think this was a really cool example because you said, as opposed to stretching out a small budget over an entire month, invest 20 to 50 a day for 10 days, right? What do you do for the rest of the 20 days of the month where you have to do organic that can triumph over the results you got? Because paid will tank your organic after, though. I've had it happen on so many different things, and the creative on the organic post ads was a lot sicker, really great engaging content, but IG will not push it out because they saw that I had the money to spend in those 10 days, and then they're going to kill my organic for 20 days,
Right. Well, the idea there would be you still have to do that, though. You still have to post on organic as much as you can, and you can link back to the content that was best performing when you're posting on organic. You should also never be afraid to repost something. Maybe not 2 days later, but if it's something that did well months ago or weeks ago, a lot of creators, they're like, oh, I can't post that. I already posted that. Okay, That doesn't mean everybody saw it. I just told you like only 2% of people are seeing your stuff.
Right.
So like don't be afraid to repost something because that could get you even more reach than before. So like especially for you, like if you're noticing that you feel like you're getting throttled after the fact, one, I would load up on getting all the organic stuff that you possibly can out there before you start the campaign, because that way you're setting yourself up to let the throttling affect you less. And two, I would focus on like just putting out your best stuff after you've already ran that campaign, because you know that regardless if you've posted it or not before, that stuff hits. And so the numbers will come, the attention will come, the engagement will come. But it does go back to consistency. Even though on IG it may be less of a priority than on TikTok, consistency is still that main thing that's going to get you the reach that you want. Even if each post isn't reaching as far as you'd like it to, once you start getting consistent, then you start adding up the reach of all those different posts that you've been posting that maybe otherwise you wouldn't have posted that often. Now those numbers start to make sense.
Thank you so much.
You still got to feed the beast.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's the game.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
And we forget, and a lot of like reels and TikToks have been going around on what an audience of 100 people looks like. You know, there's 3 of you people in here. I'm kidding. But 100 people, that's still a lot of people, man.
100%.
Like, it's 100% of 100 people. It's 1% per person. But even 200 people. Do you know what this we wouldn't be able to fit 200 people in here. Even if we tried it. Obviously we didn't. But but yeah, don't be discouraged. 100 people is 100 people, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to teach us how to run an ad or what?
Yeah. We want to do that?
I'm super excited for that.
Okay, we can do that.
Again, guys, ask questions. This is the time where
There's been some good tactical questions.
Yeah.
Like, I expected a lot more like up in the air type questions. You guys had some good tactical questions today. That was what's up.
Yeah, I think that's super cool.
I love that. I think that's where we can really provide the most value.
Can you give us a little bit of what we're going to see right now?
So what I did is I took screenshots of the ad creation process instead of having to do it like live, because that could be a little confusing sometimes. I took screenshots of the different stages, the campaign level, the ad set level, and the ad level. So regardless if you're running on Meta or TikTok or even Snapchat, the way that campaigns are structured when you're doing an ad campaign is virtually the same. Okay. There's 3 levels.
And we're not talking about boosting a
Right.
post.
We're
talking about actually getting into the back end.
creating ads from Ads Manager.
This
right?
is how you would create an ad.
This is how I do. Yes.
Boom.
Go ahead, Zay. Yeah, for sure. What else you got?
Could we get
Yeah.
these screenshots?
I can get
Absolutely.
these.
Absolutely.
I can get these.
And we're also recording it, and eventually we'll pump this out. So
Clyde's gonna get right on that right after we finish.
so you'll get kind of like a play-by-play, but you'll definitely be getting this.
Yeah, I'll make sure you guys get that. Cool. So I mean, yeah, that's generally what we're gonna walk through is just like the campaign stage, the ad set stage, and the ad stage of how you go ahead and create an ad. You'll see the examples are like not all cohesive because I grabbed screenshots from different places, but it still takes you through the journey of creating an ad. And so essentially, if you watch this, whether you're watching it later or you're going through the screenshots on your own, you'll be able to follow along because you're seeing the exact same user interface that you would when you're creating your campaign. Okay. Now,
And the reason why you did this is because you obviously can't disclose classified information of things that you've
right, I
posted
can't show
before.
you one of my heat campaigns, and
Yeah.
like that's
Because
there's
I
a lot
looked
of
at it
data
too,
on
and I was like, "Yo, what is this?"
There's a lot of
But
data
yeah.
on there, and it's complicated. Also, a lot of the campaigns that I'm running nowadays are complex, and a lot of the campaigns that you all are going to run are a little more simple because your objectives are simpler. There's less to talk about in general. There's less tracking that has to happen and all that stuff. So if I were to kind of open the hood on a campaign that I'm running right now for any of these organizations, it would be confusing versus if I just walk you through some screenshots and show you like the core things you need, it's easier for you to pick that up and go and actually set up an ad for yourself the way that you probably need to for creators in here.
Awesome. All right, let's roll it.
Go for it. Okay, so this is where you're going to start, okay? This is the campaign screen within Ads Manager. So if you've already done the stuff we talked about earlier, you have a business portfolio, you have your pages connected to that portfolio, you have an ad account. Remember, you need to create that ad account. This is where you will land when you go to Ads Manager within business.facebook.com. When you're in your business portfolio, you'll have ad account and you'll go to Ads Manager. This is what Ads Manager looks like. Obviously, there's a bunch of campaigns already running here. This would look like an empty grid for you on the first time you're here, but this is what you see when you first are getting ready to create a campaign, okay? And the way you get started is there's a big green button on the left-hand side under the campaign tab, says create. That's how you create a new campaign. So we're going to pretend I just clicked there. We're going to go to the next slide. Okay. The first thing you're going to do when you create a campaign is you have to choose a campaign objective. Okay. This is important because campaign objectives are directly tied to the goals of those campaigns. We have different goals and ways of measuring success of campaigns based on their objective, right? If Zay wants to run a campaign where his goal is purely eyeballs, reach, then he's going to collect awareness as his objective because he's just trying to get the word out, right? Versus maybe Mari has an online business that she's trying to drive traffic to, right? And maybe it's like, it's not a page where she sells stuff directly on that site, but she needs eyeballs to that site. She's going to use a traffic objective, right? Because a traffic objective, the goal for that is to drive traffic to a thing, a site, right? And if you're somebody who maybe is selling stuff online already, then you could go with something like a sales objective because that's going to allow you to actually measure success by amount of conversions, aka purchases
Sales.
that get made back, right? So these different objectives are super important. And I didn't touch on every single one of them, but app promotion and leads are less relevant to you unless you have an app. These main ones right here, awareness, traffic, and sales are going to be the ones that a lot of you all deal with, especially for those of you who are just trying to like really get more eyeballs on your content. Awareness, okay? So selecting an objective is like the first step and honestly like the most important step because it also lets you know how am I going to measure the success of this campaign,
Right.
Because you're not going to like be looking at how many sales you got if you ran an awareness campaign. That wasn't the goal or the objective of the campaign. You're looking for eyeballs. So each objective comes with its own measurement of success for that campaign, and you want to know when you're going into it what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Going back to your Pacayak, which one was it awareness
Pacayak was traffic.
or was it sales?
We did traffic.
You did
because
traffic.
we were just trying to get as many people back to the Kickstarter page as possible.
Copy.
So I could have gone awareness there, and what it would have optimized towards would be views of that video.
And that's not what we want. We want the videos to convert to something.
we wanted the video to take them back to the Kickstarter so that they would donate.
Awesome.
So we went with traffic for that one.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Cool.
Okay.
Any questions so far? Anybody?
Good. All right. So the campaign level looks like this. There's very little on that first campaign level screen when you first get into this creation process, okay? The campaign level has a couple of switches, if you will, toggles to kind of set it up. Up top, it's going to remind you what objective you chose. And then these two sections right here, quite frankly, don't touch them. Like, you just don't need to, okay? They're irrelevant for you. One is this AI toggle that I don't like it. Don't do it. And the other is an A/B test, which many of you will not be running an A/B test. But when you are, that gets toggled on. And an A/B test is essentially running two different ads or ad sets simultaneously against each other with Meta's help so that the exact same people see ad A and ad B, and you can get some sort of result on which one was quote unquote more effective. Okay. That's what an A/B test is. And that's what you would toggle if you were running an A/B test.
Why do you say it like that? Because for me, that seems like it's important.
It is, but like you can run an A/B test informally without having to do the extra step of doing it Meta's way. And a lot of times I run A/B tests informally versus doing it through A/B tests Meta's way.
And by informally, you mean two different
Just
campaigns.
running two creatives to the same audience.
Got it.
Manually.
Not under one.
Exactly.
Got
and then me looking at performance instead.
Awesome.
Manually.
Do you think that's better? That would be better
I
because
think
that's how you're doing it.
It gives it more of a chance to do its own thing versus like forcing it.
Fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zay.
So basically, you're saying like if I have two organic posts on my page, the one that performed better wins the A/B test.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you measure success of like
Really?
A/B tests.
Really? Because if you posted 1 minute late, that could have thrown off
But whichever one did better is the winner.
That's
like
true.
at the end of the day, like whatever the numbers say did better, that post did better.
If you're not first, you're last.
That's right,
Facts.
Ricky Bobby. So this page, again, there's very little to do here. You can pretty much leave these as be. This bottom section here is for if you're running an ad for a special category. So that's like things like employment, housing, politics. I would hope a lot of you aren't really trying to run ads for that kind of stuff. And if you are, you have to disclose it right here in this part, and life gets way more complicated after that.
Oof.
Okay, so let's hit next. Now we're at the ad set level, right? So we started at the campaign level, not a lot to do there other than create the campaign and select your objective. Now we're at the ad set level, okay? The three main things that we control at the ad set level are gonna be your budget, right? Your targeting, and where the ad is gonna be placed. So we're gonna talk about those all now. So the first thing is you're selecting where you're driving this traffic to. So for this example, for this campaign, I went with a traffic objective, right? We're trying to drive traffic to, in this case, a website. So I select a website here. It could easily be an Instagram profile for the creators, right? You're just trying to take people back to your profile. You can select Instagram or Facebook page, Instagram profile or Facebook page right here. But we're going with website for this example, right? And it's going to, you just toggle that, and then you see that the goal is get the maximum number of link clicks, because that's what we want. We want traffic. We want link clicks on that. Go ahead and next. Then here we go. This is all, again, on that same page. It's just I chopped it up to make it easier on the slides. Next thing you're going to control is budget, okay? So we'll talk about budget really quick. There's two main ways to set budget for a meta campaign, as well as on TikTok, as well as on Snapchat. Okay, there's daily budgets and lifetime budgets. My rule of thumb with this is if you have a campaign that's going to run pretty much for an unknown amount of time, like kind of like a always on type vibe, or like it's going to be on for a while, then daily budgets are better for you, because that way you're not kind of capping it at any given dollar amount, because you're not really sure how much you want to spend at the beginning. So for some of the campaigns I run now, we use daily budgets because we've got plenty of money, right? But if you don't have plenty of money,
Miami Heat, baby.
if you don't have plenty of money, then you're going to want to use a lifetime budget, because a lifetime budget will never spend not even a cent more than that dollar amount that you select within that time frame that you're running the ad for. So daily budgets, think of it as budget's not super tight right now. If things are going well, it's okay if it spends 15 one day and 25 the next, because that's the other tricky part about daily budgets. They're called daily budgets, but in reality, they're weekly budgets. Because when you set a daily budget amount, it tells you, well, we might spend a little more or a little less than that on a given day, but we won't ever spend more than whatever that equates to times 7. So the weekly amount. So I could set a daily budget amount of $15 a day, and it'll just make sure that it doesn't spend more than whatever 15 times 7 is over the course of the week. But like if it sees that Wednesday's off to a hot start, it'll spend 30 on Wednesday instead of 15.
God.
And then it'll just make up for it by spending less on Thursday or Friday. So daily could be a little bit more. You got to be hands-on. You got to be paying attention. And again, it's better for things that are long going. Lifetime is way better for short things. We're gonna run a Labor Day sale ad at the end of this month, right? That's gonna literally just be a 4-day campaign for the time period that the Labor Day sale is happening.
And you know how much you want to
I
spend
know
on it.
exactly how much I want to spend on it, and I know I don't want to spend anything more than that. I would set a lifetime budget, because I know it's going to run from this day to this day, and I only have this much for that thing.
Throw
So
it in
that's
there.
it. Lifetime budget, set it, forget it. And now you
Awesome.
know. So start date and end date, you could see I didn't have an end date on here because it was going to be a daily budget, but if you click that little checkbox, it would give you the option to go ahead and add an end date. You could start at any time, and you could end at any time you want. This right here below, a little bit more of an advanced thing. It's called budget scheduling. I barely use that even at my level. I wouldn't advise you to mess with budget scheduling too much either. Basically what that does is gives you control over when it spends money. So it's like you can literally tell it, like, I don't want to spend any money between like 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. I wouldn't do that. Like, you never know when people are on their phones. So
Right.
trying to guess that is not
and,
my
and
vibe.
it's learning anyway.
Exactly. So you're kind of stopping it from learning when
Yeah.
you do budget scheduling. So I personally don't recommend it. We don't use it at any of the organizations I work with right now. Then you get to your audience level, right? So we talked about the 3 things you do at the ad set level: your money, your budget, your targeting, and your placements. So this is targeting, okay? This is what the audience screen looks like Okay, you have location up here, so you can select states, countries, cities, zip codes. You can even actually select places. Like I could put HGAP Studios as the location, and then it'll put like a pin on HGAP Studios and then give me a radius around HGAP Studios. It goes from anywhere between 1 mile and 50 miles in terms of the radius from that place you pick.
You can choose the radius.
Yes, you can. It's a little slider that will appear. Once you pick a place, you'll see a little slider that says 1 mile, and then you can go all the way up to 50 miles. And
So-
that grows the circle around that point.
We're a studio,
Correct.
and we rent studios.
Right.
Would we be savages if we pin located other studios?
could.
And like just run ads.
Yeah, you could.
Anytime somebody's in that space.
You could, and you could run it like to just 1 mile within each of those competitive studios, and then people, when they're around those studios, would get ads for HGAP.
That's interesting.
Right. So it's called a conquesting campaign. What he's describing, it's called conquesting, and it's actually done very often, for businesses that are trying to that have competition in their exact field and know where to go get it.
You said the lifetime is better for like short term and daily is better for long term. If you had to put it into days or weeks, what would you define as long term and what would you define as short term?
So I would go like anything that's going to live longer than 2 weeks or longer than a month, I would probably use daily budgets for it. If something's going to only live for 7 days, or like my Labor Day sale example, 4 days, or a week, 10 days, then I'd probably use the lifetime budget. And I would say it's not only about timing, it's also about money. Because if you know for a fact you only want to spend this amount, then just use lifetime. Because daily might end up spending a little more or less than that. Versus lifetime's going to get you all the way through your budget. And not a cent above it.
And if you have an end date, so let's say you're doing a Black Friday sale and you want to promote it 4 days before Black Friday it actually happens, and you know that you want to spend $500 and you don't want to spend anything more than that, then a lifetime would be the, even though it's only 4 days, not a lifetime, but I don't know why they would call it that.
Cool. Cool. Next thing is age. So we talked a little bit earlier about that. You want to set that based on who you're trying to reach. If you leave it alone, it's going to go 18 all the way to 65 plus. So you're going to want to kind of tweak that based on who you're trying to reach. Go ahead.
I have a question specifically about targeting age. So let's
Sure.
say your target audience is like made out of minors, but it's in a nonprofit context. How, like, it's something that I've struggled with at my organization when we have applications for teenagers, right?
Yep.
It's a really cool thing, like it's not, but it's 18 plus. How can you reach through paid minors in a world where you can't advertise to minors, even if you're not selling anything to them, you're just giving them opportunities?
So now you can. They've added teenagers to the targeting capabilities. So you can go, I think it's either 13 or 14 all the way to 18. So you can target teenagers on Meta
Like
now.
directly here, how
Yeah,
we're setting
like
it up this way,
This
right?
18, if I go in here and edit this, I can change it from 18 all the way down to like 13 or 14, I believe.
Thank you. I had no
So
idea.
it's-
Thank
yeah,
you.
that it's relatively new that we can go that. So it was there at the very beginning, then they took it away, and now it's kind of back, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but regardless, it depends. It depends on like what other targeting parameters you're adding to that, right? Where, what, that kind of thing. But genuinely, it's now a thing where you can teenage target. Keep going. So we got genders here. They're only going to give you 2 options on that, right? They're pretty traditional with their stuff. Advantage Plus targeting is really what we call interest targeting and demographic targeting. So this one's cool because you can do 2 different things here. You can browse for specific interests or demographics or even behaviors, or you can just start typing stuff here. And then once you start typing stuff, it'll show you if they have that thing as an option. So let's say I'm running ads for Viper, the musician that I work with, right? She has a sound that we like to align with fans of Billie Eilish and Lana Del Rey, Miley Cyrus. So I would literally type those names in here, and because those are big acts with big followings, it'll give me the ability to target fans of those other artists, right? And now I'm kind of starting to refine who I'm trying to reach with this ad, right? So this is essentially one of the most important parts of your ad creation process, is deciding who it is going to see this thing. I wouldn't go crazy on this and do like 30 different interest targeting parameters or demographic targeting parameters, but you definitely want to at least set some because it gives that machine a little guide to go with, right? You don't want to just leave that wide open because then you're literally just telling it, okay, everybody in United States who's 18 to 24 of any gender. Like, that's a lot of people.
Figure it out.
That's not what I meant by go broad. You know what I mean? You need to at least give it a little bit. I mean, there's some that we do where literally it's United States, 18 to 65, or I think I do 18 to 54, and then all genders, and then the only interest output is Miami Heat. Like, that's it. I don't put anything beyond that. And that's keeping it broad enough, but still going for the people I know have an interest in that main thing that I'm selling.
And that's something I feel like if you're selling like an apparel or
Yes,
something, right?
es-
Where you're
especially.
doing the whole United States.
Exactly, yes, for
You're
a
not trying to
retail
sell tickets
Right.
to the whole United
Exactly.
States.
For tickets, we do 40 miles from the Kaseya Center. And for retail, because there are Heat Nations everywhere, baby, we do the whole country because we get orders from all over.
That's awesome.
All right. So last thing on this. As you start to mess with this stuff, the budget and the targeting, these numbers here on the right will change. Okay. These are going to give you estimated audience size up here and estimated daily results down here. So we know that this is a traffic campaign. It's telling me if I spend at that level for that amount of time targeting these people, this is how many people I can expect to reach every day. And this is how many link clicks I can expect to get every day. Now, obviously, I took this screenshot from something that had a decent budget because it's getting us quite a bit of reach and quite a bit of expected link clicks per day, right?
Decent budget, $20 a day.
Well, that's probably because it's from a different screenshot.
Oh, okay.
This is probably from like something that's actually running versus that's just me like putting a dummy up, right?
Okay.
But yes, these numbers will obviously change based on how much you're spending and who you're targeting. So as you change those things,
And the span.
yes, and how long it's running for.
Yeah.
Correct. That'll change these sliders and how much blue you see on it based on your overall estimated audience size. Because just because the number up here is huge doesn't mean you're going to reach all those people every day. You're going to reach a percentage of it based on how much you're spending. And the more blue you get here means the more of your actual overall audience you're tapping into based on how much you're spending.
The more blue, the better, obviously.
The more blue, the better, but you shouldn't be discouraged by small amounts of blue
Yeah.
because that just means that you're going for a lot of people, but you're not spending enough to reach them all.
Do you think specific niches are better to target?
Yeah. Yes.
Like just like people that you never even knew existed, and you just niche down on
Communities, yes. Online communities, niches are a good idea if you are a part of that niche and you're trying to reach people in that niche. So if I'm somebody who's got, like, if I'm a content creator for sneakers, let's say, I would want to get I would put several things in this interest level targeting for sneakerheads, like things that I know sneakerheads are into, or even the word sneakerhead probably has a parameter there. And that way I know that I'm probably going to get more blue here. Even if my overall audience is smaller, I'm covering more of it because I'm getting more detailed with who I'm trying to reach within that world.
Right.
So, yes, niches are good, but also give yourself room to reach people beyond that niche because if the more hyper targeted you go, the more you're capping your overall audience number. Remember that.
That's awesome. Okay.
Next. Okay, so placements is the last thing that you see at the ad set level. This is literally where the ad is going to show up. That's what placements means, okay? This screenshot doesn't cover all of them, but it shows you some examples. Up top, you see the platforms that you can select. You can see I've got Facebook and Instagram selected. Audience network I don't have selected. Messenger I don't have selected. And Threads I don't have selected. If you want your ad to show up on Threads, that's a thing now. You can hit Threads and your ad will show up on Threads. It's new. I haven't tested it much. I also believe that at least 50% of people on Threads are bots. So, you know, but Facebook and Instagram are probably always going to be checked there. And then what you can do is you can control specifically where on Instagram and Facebook it's showing up. So I can check and uncheck these boxes and it'll show up or not show up on those places. So I could do Instagram feed, but not Facebook feed. I could do Instagram Explore page, but not Facebook video feed. You can kind of mess with these and select the placements that make the most sense to you based on who you're trying to reach and how your creative is formatted. Because remember that sometimes these different placements will have different creative formats. And so if your video might not be like best, served vertically, then maybe you don't do reels as a placement or stories as a placement.
Should I be spending money on Facebook? Isn't my grandma on Facebook?
No, there's still a lot of people
She's not.
of various age ranges on Facebook. I continuously am surprised at how much traffic continues to come to us from Facebook placements. However, if you're a creator and you know my audience is, teenagers, college age kids, that kind of thing, then I wouldn't use a lot of Facebook placements. I would mainly use Instagram Reels and Instagram Stories placements. A lot of the times, if I'm trying to reach the 18 to 25 demo, I'm not even putting Instagram Feed anymore. I'm not even using Instagram Feed as much.
We're going straight to the story.
Reels and Stories.
Boom.
Reels and Stories are the top two.
But Reels, doesn't that end up on the feed?
Yes.
Isn't it kind of the same thing?
But it has its own place within Instagram now, where it's its own feed.
Oh,
The
got it.
Reel-
That's
the
when you're
Reels
like
portion of
death
Instagram.
scrolling. Like,
It's the
till
TikTok
end.
version of that, right?
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
it's the feed is more so for post feed, and then the Reels is that constant feed of Reels that you get.
Copy.
The endless scroll.
Do you have a question, Gia?
Yeah, sorry if I missed it, but like in
Alright.
terms of the creative, have you observed that like static versus dynamic, like graphics versus first of all, even within static, I'm sure that photos, I'm assuming they perform better than graphics with text, and then but like when you have static versus video, have you observed like increased results on video ads as opposed to like graphics and photos? Or it
Before you
depends?
answer that, let's just give context to what's static. A static.
Yeah, like photos, videos, like the one that's on the screen
Anything
there.
that's still.
Yes.
Right, but-
Static means it doesn't move.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And dynamic means it moves, whether it's a GIF, however you want to say that,
Right.
or if it's a video, right? Then it's
Like a reel, 'cause
right,
you-
or if it's a reel, correct. So first, yes, video performs better than static. 9 out of 10 times, videos perform better than static. We're in a world right now where we're used to consuming way more video than we ever have been. And so video just kind of is the go-to. You want to have video. There's not always video, though. Sometimes you only have images, right? And so images do still do well, but images with humans in them do better than images without humans in
Like
them.
organic. Yeah.
Yes.
Very interesting.
There-
Lifestyle.
yes. Lifestyle imagery is always going to do better than like a flat lay of a product.
Okay.
Or like, the shirt on a hanger. A guy wearing or a girl wearing the shirt is going to usually 9 out of 10 times perform better than just showing it on a hanger.
Right.
People like seeing people in stuff. Dogs also. Dogs. Like if you
Right.
got a dog in that picture, man.
It's over.
Put that golden retriever in that ad and all of a sudden watch the money come in.
But kayak is going $1 billion
I
industry.
think there might be a dog in the Pakiak video.
I
So
can't see.
dogs, and this is nothing against cats, right? Cats obviously go viral in their own way, but dogs, for some reason, when there's dogs in static or video, man, dogs go crazy. People love dogs.
That's cool.
And because video does so well, does that mean there's higher competition on cost per click? Like, are you working
good
with bigger budgets or?
That's a good question. It varies. There's a lot of variables that go into your cost per click or your cost per impressions going up or down. I would say it is one of the many variables, right? What creative format you're selecting will have a place in that in terms of how much it's costing. But it's something you can't know ahead of time, only after the fact. So it's something that you can monitor as the ad starts running, and that way you can get a good idea of how much it's costing, and then you can use that as a benchmark to compare it to when you run another creative format. So you can see if that variable, the creative format being different, is truly making a difference in how much it's costing. Video does typically cost a little more than static, but also, like I said, there's so many other variables that it's impossible to be like, that's the only reason that ad costed me more than that one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Amazing.
Next. So that was placements. So now that's everything that we did at the ad set level, right? So we're making our way down. We've done campaign level. We selected our objective. We've done ad set level. We've done placements. We've done targeting, and we've set our budget. Now you get to the part that you guys like the most, which is creative, okay? The ad level is where you select your creative and you write your copy, right? Copy is the advertising terminology for caption, right? The words that come with the ad, okay? So this is the level where you select what your creative is going to be and what your copy is going to be and where you're driving the traffic to, because this is a traffic ad example, and you hit publish. Okay. So first you need to know who you're running the ad for. So I put this here. This is the End Designs, the brand that I work on. And you want to make sure these two things match so that you're running it for the same Facebook page and the same Instagram page. Seems pretty trivial, but just always check on that, especially if you're somebody who manages or has access to more than one page. Want to make sure you're running it for the same one. I don't want to be running the End Designs ad when I'm accidentally on the Heat stuff, because now I'm fired.
That's weird.
Right? So
Actually, you're going to make some sales.
I'll make some sales first, but then I'll be fired. Up top, there's a toggle that we would need to have a whole separate talk on, which is partnership ads, okay? A lot of you, when you all start working with brands, will be running partnership ads, okay? And that's where there's two identities running the ad. When you see the ad, it says Zay and Zephyr Hills, right? It'll say both names. And that's what a partnership ad is. The creation process is very, very similar, but when you toggle that, you'll have to select that second identity so that it knows that it's an ad being run for both businesses. And you'll need to have done some setup stuff on the back end. Like I said, I would need way more time to explain how to make sure you already have that digital handshake with the other identity so that it knows that you're allowed to run ads for both.
Right, because then other people are just going to start running ads with brands.
You can't just run partnership ads because you feel
with
like
the Miami Heat, because I want to.
They have to have already done that setup and digital handshake with you as a creator so that they can run the partnership ad. And partnership ads can be set up on either end. They can be set up by the creator or by the brand, but more often than not, you'll run into instances where the brand's like, we'll handle it, and they'll just do the digital handshake with you so that you're actually the second identity on the ad versus you being the first.
And when they want to cut you off, they just like turn the thing off.
Right, because they'll just turn the ad off versus having to like remove you from the collab, right?
Right.
Next. Okay, so manual upload is going to be what you 9 times out of 10 you're going to use unless you have a product catalog already kind of set up, which again, more complicated, more complex, so we would have to have more time to go over. And then formats. These are pretty straightforward. Single image or video, carousel, which is slideshows, right? Slideshows, you can do slideshows of videos, photos, and or mix both, okay? And then collection, again, a little bit more advanced. That's often used by e-com brands, because it's a full screen experience that shows products under a piece of creative. So like you'll have a video, like a lookbook or something, and then like the 4 shirts from that collection live under it in a collection format. Those are cool if you're doing anything e-com related. But more often than not, a lot of the ads you see are single image or video ads many, many, many times, or carousel ads. So that's where you select format. And then here's where you select your destination. So remember, we're running a traffic campaign in this example, so we need to know where the hell we're driving the traffic to.
Right.
So this is where you would put in the website URL of that place you're driving traffic to. And if you don't love the URL because it's complicated or it has tracking parameters on it, it doesn't look lovely, you can just have more of a vanity URL here where it says display link. So like sometimes our URLs are like super long.
Yeah,
right?
because they're pages inside of pages.
So but then we could just put display link like heat.com and it makes it look cleaner, but
you're actually running it to
where I'm actually driving to. So that's important for a distinction. Go ahead.
If you just wanted to cycle it back to your Instagram, would you put your Instagram link in there, or would that just be instant experience?
If you were running if you were running traffic back to an Instagram profile, it would say, instead of saying website here, it would say Instagram profile, and then it would already know the one you're trying to drive back to, because it's the one that you're running it from, right?
But that's selected right at the beginning.
You would have told it before that you're driving traffic to an Instagram profile at the ad set level,
and it would change here.
And then this looks different based on that looking different. It's saying website here because I told it website at the ad set level. But if you had selected create profile, then here's where you would just select the profile instead. Cool. Next. All right, and then obviously setting up the creative itself. So there's a section on this same page that says set up creative. That's where you pick if you're going to do an image or a video. You click on one of those two. Then it pops open this media screen where you're going to be able to go ahead and upload or pick from media that already exists in your account. You're going to select your media. You're going to hit next. You can go ahead and hit next slide as well. And here you're going to see how that media would look across the different placements you've selected. So you can see this is like an ad we're doing for the Adam Sandler show that's coming to the arena soon. And they gave me that creative in horizontal, in 16 by 9.
Yeah.
So because they didn't give me a 9 by 16 version for story, I'm running that thing in horizontal, both on the feed and on the story. Right. Ideally, you would have 2 formats of your ad so that it would look native on story and native on feed.
You're missing so much opportunity here.
You're not using all the
real
space that you could be, right? That real estate. So that's important too. Is if you have creative that you're setting up, like try to have that creative in both of these different dimensions so that your placements make sense. If you're running that thing on feed and stories and reels, then you should have a vertical formatted version of whatever you're running, which a lot of you are already creating vertical anyway.
Does that hinder the ad?
No. Well, yes and no. Creatively, yes. Performance-wise, not always, no. But it's better if you have a vertical ad versus if you have a horizontal ad, because now the feed has also been optimized, updated, whatever word you want to use there, where if you have a vertical asset, it still shows up full screen in the feed. It doesn't cut it down to a 4x3 or 1x1 anymore the way it used to.
But you'll get the bars on the top and the bottom.
You won't.
Oh, you won't?
Like in feed, it'll be full screen on feed, even though it was like originally a story or a reel. Feed now has support for 9x16 format. So they want you to use a one-on-one. They want you to use a 1x1, a square here. But if you have a 9x16 and only a 9x16, you're way better off than if you only had a square or if you only had a 16x9. But ideally, you've got both. Ideally.
Yeah. Or all three.
Or all three.
Yeah.
And you can upload them separately, right?
Yes, the same place. So if I were to hit replace right there, you see there's a little button underneath each creative that says replace. That's where I would be able to upload that alternate version of it, right? And then up here, like after you hit that next part on media, your next screen would be text, right? So that's where we were talking about before, copy, okay? Primary text up top, that's going to be the caption of the ad. So that's where you're going to write. I just wrote copy goes here. Headline, that's going to be if you want to add a headline. Those aren't mandatory, okay? And something important for you to know is if it is popping up in the feed, if you have a headline's going to show up above your actual copy. So that might mean your copy that you wanted gets cut off because of whatever you put on the headline. So if your copy is vital, I wouldn't add a headline so that you don't bump it down with anything, okay? That's one of those things that like we learn along the way. And now we know how to pass it down. And then your CTA. So CTA is your call to action. It gives you a ton of options here. This scrolls beyond what you see here, but there's learn more. There's listen now if you're running a music ad like we talked about. There's, get access if you're selling like a PDF or something. There's shop now if you're selling stuff online. There's all sorts of call to actions. So you're just going to pick the one that makes the most sense based on what you're running, right? And that CTA is going to turn into a button that pops up on the ad, right? Or the action that happens when you swipe up if you're on story, right? It's going to say shop now or get tickets or watch more. If you're running something that's like a little shorter excerpt of a video that you have over on YouTube, you can run that short excerpt and your CTA would be watch more. And when they hit watch more, they go to the YouTube version, which is longer, right?
That makes sense. Kind of like when we cut this episode up,
right, watch
into snippets, then we want to drive
traffic to YouTube. If you were running an ad for it, you would hit watch more on it so that people could come watch the full.
That makes sense.
Or if we were trying to sell tickets to this, we would hit get tickets or sign up even. Sometimes it'll have like sign up, right? Because sometimes stuff doesn't cost, but you still have to RSVP, right, for a party or whatever.
Right.
Sign up would be there too as well. That's another, all sorts of options there. If you're a restaurant, see menu is one of the CTA options.
That's cool.
There's endless CTA options, honestly. And then next, I think that's it, right?
Sorry, quick question on the CTA.
Yeah.
Just a quick question on the copy. So if we use like a CTA button, would it be good or bad to double up in the like caption copy as well?
Don't say the same thing in the caption if you already have a CTA button saying it for you.
But if you say it differently, should you avoid it and just keep the CTA button?
If you say it differently, that's okay. I just wouldn't say shop now at the end of my copy and then have a shop now button. You know what I mean? Okay. If you say it differently, that's different. But I just wouldn't repeat the exact words that are in the CTA in my copy. That's wasting characters.
And is there like a sweet spot of copy length that you'd recommend from your experience?
I love that question. Mm-hmm. I would, no matter what you're doing, right? No matter what kind of thing you're running an ad for, my best suggestion for where to get copy inspiration from a length and like structure standpoint is Nike. Nike has perfected ad copy and social copy. Many times you'll see Nike uses a 3 phrase or a 3 sentence system, right? Where this is it, this is why, now go get it. Like that's how they structure their copy, and it's super effective. It's super clean. They found a way to do it a million ways differently, and yet it's the same every single time. A Kobe shoe drop, something like that. It's 1, 2, 3. It's always like structured in this 1, 2, 3 way. And somehow it's always concise as well. It's never long. Their captions are never long. And you don't want long captions because when you have a long caption, most of it's going to get hidden behind this read more button when you're on your feed.
Right.
And you don't want that.
Right.
So short, concise copy is definitely best practice. And if you do have to say more than one thing in your copy, go look at how Nike does it. Because more often than not, they have to say more than one thing about that thing that they're pushing, but they find this perfect, concise, structured 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3 way to do it. And I've worked with a lot of brands over the course of my career, and I've dealt with a lot of copy for a lot of ads, and I'm always chasing that perfection that they've nailed over there in terms of copy. They've nailed it.
And there was a way where we could access the library of ads from a brand. Is that still possible?
That's still possible.
Can you walk us through the steps through that?
So
Because I think it'll
easy.
help everyone.
That part is super easy, and this is for everybody especially. I'm glad you asked about that, right? That's super easy. You can literally see a library of all the ads that these different companies are running like right now, and it's called the Meta Ads Library. And if you just type in on Google, Meta Ads Library, the very first result will take you there. And you'll see the ability to type in the name of the business that you're looking for, like Nike, and you'll be able to see literally all the ads that Nike's running right now.
Does it show you data?
No, just shows you
the ad.
Just shows you the ad. So you'll see the copy and you'll see the creative.
Dang.
But it'll show you all of them.
That's
For
huge.
Any business, big or small, if they're on Meta and they're running the ad and you know what to type in to find that business, it'll show you the ads that business is running.
It's your swipe file.
Yeah.
And Google has the same thing. Google has the same thing. If you want to Google the Google version, I believe that one's called the Google Ad Transparency Center instead of Ad Library. They call it the Google Ad Transparency Center. And you'll also be able to see, and you type in the name of the business, you'll see if they're running ads on Google or not.
Wow, that's huge. Great question.
Yeah, really solid question, honestly. That's very valuable to anybody here or watching this.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any last questions? Awesome.
This was awesome. I really appreciate you having me here. This was fun.
Danny. Yeah. Give it up for Danny. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Danny, for taking the time to coming out here today and just basically schooling us on how to be better at pushing our own personal brands and businesses and all that good stuff. If the audience and people watching wanted to somehow continue to stay in touch with you, how can they do that?
The grown-up thing to do would be LinkedIn. Find me, Danny Gallegos on LinkedIn. Also, Instagram is definitely just as good. My Instagram is DThePresident. I'm sure we'll link out to it somehow when we do a digital version of this. Also, I'm tagged in all the promotion for this event, so it's very easy to find me that way. Instagram or LinkedIn would be the best ways to reach me, and I'm always willing to grab a coffee, chop it up, any of that. It's not usually going to be free. But if I like you, we can work something out.
That's super cool. Well, Danny, I want to say thank you again so much for taking the time to be on the Something Cool panel. I know for sure I've learned so much. And I know for sure this is not the first time that we have you on the panel, because there's still so much to learn, really. If you guys are watching this and you really enjoyed today's panel, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. Feel free to share this with friends, like it, anything that you can do to engage with the content so we can continue to create Something Cool panel discussions with many more industry professionals. This is it. I hope to see you at the next Something Cool panel. And thank you again for joining us, and have a good night.
Thank you.